So for the third quarter of 2017, the overall market compared to last year, our sales are trending slightly down from last year. And that probably has more to do with squeezing of inventory. There isn't as much to buy. But also, interest rates are slightly up, or at least steady, and values are up. So that with a slight increase in interest rates and value increase, that affects affordability. So that takes a few people out of the market that could afford a home, so that reduces demand a little bit. So that combined with tighter inventories. And also, in general, it shows that there's a general momentum softening of the market in general. That's really across the country, not just in Michigan. And that's as much because the pent-up demand for the recession is finally starting to settle back. We're settling into a more normal market. The good news is income growth is finally starting to rise a little bit. Job prospects are strong and have been. But we're still in a average moving economy, so we wouldn't expect it to necessarily, over the next couple of years, take off. Demographics are still good. Gen X and Gen Y are a huge population of buyers and sellers in the market, as well as baby boomers. So that mix is on a long-term basis for the next few years is very strong. But short-term, we can probably expect to see not the same type of housing activity we saw in 2016 and 15 to be settling down a little bit. In Michigan, for example, we look at auto sales. And auto sales are seeing that same tapering, that same settling down. And of course, in Michigan, where auto goes, that's where we go. We tend to follow that. So that's the overall direction for Michigan. For Northwest Michigan, trends that we're seeing have been consistent that we've been seeing for the first half or first 3 quarters of the year and even from 2016. The market is moving in different directions depending on the price segment. The under 250 segment, and then you've got 250 to 500 and 500 and above. And under the under 250 segment, inventories are still tight. They're still declining. Sales are also declining because there just aren't as many homes to purchase. So that trend we've seen throughout the year. But what we are seeing is it normalizing a little bit in that the inventory decline is still declining, but not as fast as it was in the first half of the year and even in 2016. So there isn't a rise in inventory. That doesn't mean for first-time home buyers you're suddenly going to see more availability of homes, but you're seeing the first trend, the first movement towards maybe it normalizing and inventory starting to settle. And part of that's because there are fewer sales. There just aren't as many homes to sell. And one of the reasons for that is that as homes move up in value in that segment, homes have been rising 8 to 10%, those homes kind of jump into the next segment, that 250 to 500 segment. So it depletes one inventory and it makes the other inventory rise, which is actually what we're seeing. Inventories in the 250 to 500 are actually flat. And that's because homes are graduating into that group. Sales are up in that segment, so where they're down in the under 250, they're actually up in the 250 to 500, which is great to see. It's probably the healthiest segment in terms of balance in the marketplace and in terms of general activity. Values aren't rising as fast there because we've got more of a balanced inventory to sales. They're about 4 to 5%, maybe as high as 6% in some areas versus 8 to 10% in the other segment. Then you're moving to the upper end, the over $500,000 segment. Their sales have actually jumped recently. They've been flat for a while. They've jumped recently. Inventories are rising a little bit as well. So we'll see if that's a trend that continues. What we haven't seen is values rise that dramatically. So that recent jump in the last couple of months of sales hasn't translated into higher values. May have just been a seasonal blip that we caught. But in general, that upper end values are relatively flat with a slight increase. And in fact, if you break it up into homes in the market under 60 or 90 days, their values are probably rising a little bit. Those are the homes that are the most saleable, priced right in condition. And then those over 90 days in the market, those you see probably an adjustment on asking price to at least 10% or more before they're getting any activity in the marketplace. But overall, still for Northwest Michigan, a very strong market.